The appraiser's hands trembled as he lifted the false bottom. Beneath the rusted tools lay rows of gleaming bars, each stamped with dates from the 1930s. "Miss Porter," he whispered, "do you understand what you're looking at?" Lena stared at the gold. Her father's tool chest, the one her brothers had mocked her for keeping. "How much?" Her voice came out flat, exhausted. $334 million. Possibly more. 6 weeks earlier, Lena Porter sat on the apartment floor surrounded by cardboard boxes, sorting her father's belongings into piles. Keep. Donate. Trash. The eviction notice gave her until Friday. It was Tuesday. She had $89 in her bank account and a daughter who needed new shoes. The tool chest sat in the corner, red paint flaking, brass corners tarnished green. It was ugly. Heavy. Took up space she didn't have. But she couldn't let it go. Her phone buzzed. Marcus, her ex-husband, picking up Jade this weekend. You better have her ready on time. And she needs a real winter coat, not whatever thrift store crap you've been buying. Lena deleted the message. She'd worked the breakfast shift at Rosie's Diner, then 4 hours of data entry from the library because her internet had been shut off. Her feet ached. Her head throbbed. She was 32 and felt 60. Mom. Jade appeared in the doorway, 9 years old with her father's eyes and Lena's stubborn chin. What's for dinner? Lena opened the refrigerator. A carton of eggs with 3 left. Half a jar of pasta sauce. Some wilted celery. Shakshuka, she said, forcing brightness. Like that chef show you watched. We had eggs yesterday. Different style? Trust me, it'll be good. After dinner, eggs and sauce over toast, which Jade ate without complaining. Lena returned to sorting. Her brothers had already picked through everything valuable when Dad died. Tyler took the truck. Brandon took the tools, the good ones, the power equipment Dad had used for his contracting business. Lena got the leftovers, boxes of receipts, worn clothes, the battered tool chest everyone assumed held junk. Just trash it, Tyler had said at the lawyer's office. Dad bought that at a garage sale in like 1995. It's worthless. But Dad had kept it in his bedroom, not the garage. He'd moved it to every apartment, every rental house, through 20 years of downsizing after Mom left. It meant something. Lena dragged it to the center of the room. The wood was solid beneath the peeling paint. Walnut, maybe oak. The lock was rusted shut. She tried opening it once, years ago, but Dad had told her gently to leave it be. Just old tools, Lenny. Nothing special. But they're mine, you know. She understood that. The keeping of things that didn't make sense to others. The lock was a simple brass mechanism, corroded but intact. Lena grabbed a screwdriver from her kitchen drawer and worked it into the seam. The metal resisted, then gave with a crack that made Jade look up from her homework. What are you doing? Opening Grandpa's chest. Is there treasure inside? Jade grinned, that gap-toothed smile that made Lena's heart hurt. Probably just rusty wrenches, baby. The lid lifted with a groan. Inside, layers of tools wrapped in oiled cloth. A hammer with a worn wooden handle. Screwdrivers in various sizes. Wrenches. Chisels. Everything old, while used, exactly what you'd expect. Lena lifted the top tray. Beneath it, another layer. More tools. A hand plane. Files. A small saw. She was about to close it when she noticed the weight distribution felt wrong. The chest was too heavy for what it held. She knocked on the bottom. Hollow sound. Then solid. Then hollow again. Mom, it's 8:30. I need to sleep. 5 minutes, Jade. Go brush your teeth. Alone, Lena ran her fingers along the bottom seams. There, a tiny gap, barely visible. She pressed, and a section of the bottom shifted. A hidden compartment. Her hands shook as she worked the false bottom free. It lifted in one piece, and beneath it, gold. Bars of gold stacked in precise rows. Each one stamped with an eagle and a date. 1932, 1934. 1933. She counted 12 bars, each the size of a brick. Lena sat back hard, her breath coming fast. This wasn't possible. Dad had worked construction his whole life. He died with $4,000 in savings in a storage unit full of equipment he'd planned to sell. Where had this come from? She pulled out her phone and searched. Gold bar value. The numbers made no sense. Thousands per ounce. These bars were heavy. She lifted one, feeling the weight. At least a pound. Maybe more. A piece of paper was tucked beneath the gold. Lena unfolded it carefully. Dad's handwriting, shaky but legible. Lenny. If you're reading this, I'm gone and I'm sorry I never explained. These belong to my father. He was paid in gold for a private contract in 1933, right before Roosevelt made it illegal to own. He hid it. Died before he could tell anyone. I found it in his workshop wall when I was cleaning out his house in '88. I kept it hidden because I didn't know what else to do. By the time I understood what I had, I was afraid of taxes, questions, trouble. I should have told you. I should have done a lot of things different. But this is yours now. Don't let anyone tell you it's worthless. Don't let them take it. Get it appraised properly. And Lenny? Live better than I did. Love, Dad. Lena read it 3 times. Her father had lived in a 2-room apartment. He'd worked until his body gave out. He'd eaten canned soup and worn the same jacket for a decade. And all that time, he'd had a fortune hidden in a tool chest. The next morning, Lena called in sick to the diner. First time in 11 months. She found an appraiser through a museum contact, someone who dealt with estate liquidations. She didn't mention the gold on the phone, just said she had items requiring authentication. Mr. Chin arrived at noon, a thin man with careful eyes and white gloves in his briefcase. Lena had sent Jade to school despite wanting to keep her close. Some things needed privacy. Miss Porter, what can I help you with? Lena showed him the chest, the tools, the false bottom, then the gold. Mr. Chun went completely still. He pulled out a jeweler's loupe and examined the first bar. The stamps, the weight. He measured it with a small scale from his kit. His face remained neutral, professional, but his hands shook slightly. Where did you acquire these? My father's estate. He inherited them from his father. Apparently, they were purchased in 1933, before Executive Order 6102. Mr. Chin looked up. Miss Porter, do you know what you have here? Gold bars. Pre-confiscation American gold. Museum quality specimens. 12 bars at, he weighed another. Approximately 16 troy ounces each. At current gold prices, roughly $28,000 per bar. But the historical value, the rarity, the condition. He set down the loupe. I need to make some calls. Don't tell anyone about this. Not family, not friends. Do you understand? Lena thought of Tyler's smirk when she'd kept the tool chest. Brandon's laugh. Marcus demanding child support while refusing to pay it himself. I understand. I'll return tomorrow with proper security and documentation. Miss Porter, Mr. Chin met her eyes. You're looking at several $1 million. Potentially much more. After he left, Lena locked the chest and shoved it back into the corner. She picked up Jade from school. She worked her data entry shift in the library, fingers typing automatically while her mind spun. That night, Marcus called. Jade says you're not moving after all. Where'd she hear that? She said you seemed happy. Look, about the code. I can probably chip in $50. Don't worry about it, Lena said. I'll handle it. She hung up and sat in the dark apartment, the eviction notice still taped to the wall, and let herself imagine a different life. A real apartment, health insurance, college savings, the ability to stop surviving and start living. Her phone buzzed. Mr. Chun, bringing team tomorrow, 2 p.m. Security, documentation specialist, and a curator from the Federal Reserve's numismatic division. This is extraordinary. Be ready. Lena looked at the tool chest. Just junk, Tyler had said. Worthless. But Dad had known better. And now, so did she. The team arrived in an unmarked van. Mr. Chun introduced 3 people, a security guard named Davis, a woman with a camera who documented everything, and Dr. Sarah Webb from the Federal Reserve. Dr. Webb wore gloves before she even entered the apartment. She examined the first gold bar like it might dissolve. 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle Series. Philadelphia Mint. Her voice was reverent. These should have been melted down. How they survived. Are they legal to loan? Lena's stomach churned. I'm not going to get arrested for this. The executive order exempted gold held for reasonable amounts for use in art, industry, profession, or as a reasonable amount for collecting. Given that your grandfather acquired these legitimately before the order, and they've been in continuous family possession, there's a legal argument for ownership. But Ms. Porter, you need lawyers. Good ones. They worked for 6 hours. Each bar was photographed, weighed, examined under magnification. The total came to 192 troy ounces. At current market value, $1,847 per ounce. That was $354,624. But Dr. Webb shook her head when Mr. Chin mentioned that figure. Market value is irrelevant here. These are museum pieces. Numismatic value will be exponentially higher. Some of these dates are extremely rare in this condition. We're talking auction estimates in the tens of millions. Lena sat down hard on her secondhand couch. Say that again. Conservatively? $40 to $60 million. If the right collectors compete, possibly more. The room tilted. Lena gripped the couch arm, breathing slowly. 40 million. 60 million. Numbers that didn't connect to her life, to the eviction notice, to Jade's shoes with the worn-out soles. If you're following Lena's journey, subscribe now, because what happens next will change everything. Miss Porter, Dr. Webb's voice was gentle. I know this is overwhelming, but you need to make some decisions. Where to store this securely while we authenticate and prepare for sale. Which auction house to use. How to structure the transaction for optimal tax treatment. You need a team, lawyers, accountants, security. I can't afford lawyers. They'll work on contingency for a case like this. Trust me, every firm in the city will want this account. She pulled out a business card. This is my colleague who specializes in numismatic estates. Call him today. Right now, actually. After they left, taking the gold to a secured vault, Lena sat in the empty apartment. The tool chest sat open, its secret revealed. She pulled out her father's note again. Live better than I did. Her phone rang. Tyler. Hey, Lena. Brandon said you've had some appraiser types at your place. What's going on? You selling dad's stuff? Lena's hand tightened on the phone. She thought about telling him, explaining, watching his face when he realized what the junk chest actually held. Just getting some furniture appraised. Seeing if any of it's worth keeping. Yeah, it's all trash. Listen, I'm cleaning out my garage, and I found some of Dad's old toolboxes. You want them? Otherwise, I'm dumping them. Sure, Lena said. I'll take them. Seriously? Lena, you've got no space. Why do you keep all his junk? Because it's his. Because it matters. Tyler sighed. Whatever. I'll drop them off Saturday. After he hung up, Lena called the lawyer Dr. Webb had recommended. Within 2 hours, she was sitting in a downtown office that smelled like leather and money, listening to a man named Richard Carlisle explain legal strategies. The authentication process will take 4 to 6 weeks. During that time, we'll establish provenance, document the chain of ownership, and prepare for auction. Christie's and Sotheby's will both want this. We'll play them against each other. He smiled. Miss Porter, you're about to become extremely wealthy. How wealthy? Based on Dr. Webb's initial assessment and similar sales in the past decade, I'd estimate between $100 and $200 million after taxes and fees. The number didn't land. It was too big, too abstract. Lena thought instead about Jade's school, which needed volunteers because it couldn't afford aides. About Rosie's diner, where the cook had worked 40 years without health insurance. About her father, eating soup from a can while sitting on a fortune. Mr. Carlisle, I need some money now. Like, this week. Can that happen? How much do you need? Enough to stop the eviction and catch up on bills. Maybe 10,000. He blinked. Miss Porter, I can have 50,000 in your account by tomorrow. Consider it a loan against the estate. Once this sells, 10,000 is. He caught himself. Yes, I'll arrange it today. That night, Lena paid 3 months' rent in advance. She bought groceries, real groceries, including fresh fruit and the expensive peanut butter Jade Light. She ordered a winter coat online, the warm kind with down insulation. She sat at her kitchen table and cried for 20 minutes, just from the relief of not calculating every dollar. When Jade came home from school, Lena had made real dinner. Chicken, rice, vegetables, salad. Jade's eyes went wide. Are we celebrating something? Yeah, baby. We're celebrating Grandpa. Why? Lena thought about how to explain it. The gold, the money, the life that was about to change. But Jade was 9. She needed stability, not wild promises. Because he loved us. And he made sure we'd be okay. Over the next month, Lena lived in a strange liminal space. She kept working, both jobs, because stopping felt dangerous, like tempting fate. But she opened a savings account. She researched good schools. She drove past houses in safe neighborhoods and let herself imagine. The authentication results came back 6 weeks later. Richard Carlisle called her into his office personally. 267 bars. Lena blinked. But there were only 12. In the tool chest, yes. But Dr. Webb had me research your grandfather's property records. He owned a workshop from 1935 to 1949. The current owners gave us permission to scan the walls with ground-penetrating radar. We found a sealed compartment. 255 additional bars. The room swayed. How is that possible? Your great-grandfather was paid in gold for what we believe was installation work at a federal building. A large contract, paid in full before the executive order took effect. He hid it. All of it. Your grandfather found some of it, but never found the workshop cash. Until now. How much? Richard Carlyle slid a document across the desk. Total authenticated value, $334 million. After taxes, fees, and auction costs, you'll net approximately $200 million. Lena stared at the number. $200 million. Her father had lived on Social Security and part-time handyman work. Her grandfather had died in a VA hospital. And all that time, Miss Porter, are you all right? My brothers, Lena said quietly. They took the valuable stuff. The truck, the good tools. They laughed at me for keeping the junk. Yes, well. Richard smiled. The auction is scheduled for 8 weeks from now. I suggest you prepare yourself. Your life is about to change dramatically. That Saturday, Tyler dropped off 3 boxes of their father's old tools. He didn't come inside, just left them on the doorstep. Lena brought them in and found another note tucked in the first box. Lenny, I lied. There's more gold. Check the false bottom in my old workbench if Tyler didn't throw it out. And Lenny, don't feel bad keeping secrets. Some things are meant for the people who understand their value. Love, Dad. Lena called Tyler. The workbench Dad had in his apartment. What happened to it? Hauled it to the dump. What? Just wondering. She hung up before he could ask more questions. Some treasures were meant to stay lost. The gold in the workshop walls was enough. More than enough. That night, she quit both jobs. She called her landlord and paid off the lease. She enrolled Jade in a private school with small classes and art programs. And she sat down to write a list of things her father never got to do. It was time to start living. The auction took place on a Tuesday in October in Christie's main gallery in Manhattan. Lena wore a navy dress that fit perfectly, tailored, not thrifted, and sat in the third row with Richard Carlyle on one side and Jade on the other. Mom, is this really happening? Jade whispered. Yeah, baby. It's really happening. The auctioneer began. Lot 847, the Porter Collection. 267 pre-1933 American Gold Double Eagles, complete provenance, mint state condition. Opening bid, $10 million. Paddles rose across the room. Phone bidders competed through assistants wearing headsets. The numbers climbed, 15 million, 20, 30. Lena watched, disconnected from the frenzy, as people fought over her great-grandfather's hidden fortune. When the hammer finally fell at $341 million, $7 million more than the estimate, the room erupted in applause. Jade grabbed Lena's hand, squeezing tight. We're rich, she breathed. We're safe, Lena corrected. There's a difference. After fees and taxes, the final deposit was $217 million. The number appeared in Lena's new bank account on a Thursday morning. She stared at it on her phone, that long string of digits, and felt nothing but exhausted relief. The hard part came next. Tyler called within hours of the auction results hitting the news. You've got to be kidding me. The tool chest? Dad's tool chest was worth $300 million. Yep. And you didn't think to tell us? We're family, Lena. You owe us. I don't owe you anything, Tyler. You took the truck. Brandon took the good tools. You both laughed when I kept the chest. You called it junk. We didn't know. And I did? I found out the same way you're finding out now. The difference is I kept what Dad wanted me to keep. I didn't throw it away because it looked worthless. Tyler's voice went cold. We'll contest this. Dad wasn't in his right mind when he wrote that will. He clearly didn't understand what he had. Good luck with that. Lena hung up and blocked his number. Then Brandon's. Then her aunt who called asking for a small loan of $50,000. Some people only saw value in dollar signs. Dad had known that. That's why he'd left the gold to her. Richard Carlyle helped her set up trusts, investments, foundations. $2 million went to the VA hospital where her grandfather had died, funding a new wing for long-term care. $5 million established the Porter Scholarship Fund for children of single parents. $10 million purchased Rosie's Diner, which Lena converted into a worker-owned cooperative with full benefits for all employees. You're giving away a lot, Richard observed during one meeting. I'm keeping plenty. Jade's college is funded. We have a house. I have enough money that I'll never worry again. The rest. Lena shrugged. Dad wanted me to live better than he did. That means more than just being rich. It means using it right. The hardest conversation was with Jade. One evening in their new house, a 4-bedroom colonial with a yard and good schools nearby. They sat in the kitchen Lena had designed, eating pizza from actual plates instead of paper towels. Why didn't Grandpa spend the gold? Jade asked. If he was poor and had all that money? Lena had thought about this a lot. I think he was afraid. Afraid of questions, of losing it, of making a mistake. And by the time he wasn't afraid anymore, he was used to living small. It's hard to change, even when you can. Are you afraid? Terrified, Lena admitted. But I'm doing it anyway. That's what courage is, baby. Being scared and doing it anyway. She enrolled in college courses, accounting, because she wanted to understand her own finances. She hired a staff, an accountant, a lawyer, an assistant who managed the foundation work. She bought a reliable car that didn't make weird noises. She got health insurance with dental coverage. And 6 months after the auction, she drove to the cemetery where her father was buried. She'd pay for a proper headstone, granite, with his name and dates and a simple inscription. He knew what mattered. She sat on the grass beside it, not caring about the day up, and pulled out a letter she'd written. Hey Dad, I did what you asked. I got the gold appraised. I didn't let them tell me it was worthless. And I'm living better. Not just richer, but better. Jade's happy. I'm happy. We're safe. She paused, throat tight. I wish you trusted yourself enough to use it. You deserve better than canned soup and working yourself to death. But I understand why you were scared. Money doesn't fix fear. It just gives you different things to be afraid of. She left the letter weighted under a rock and walked back to her car. On the way home, she stopped at a garage sale, habit from years of necessity. An old woman was selling her late husband's belongings. Tools mostly. A wooden chest caught Lena's eye. How much? She asked. $20. It's solid oak under that ugly paint. Lena bought it, loaded it in her truck, and drove home smiling. Some people saw junk. She saw possibility. That night, she refinished the chest in her garage, a real garage attached to a real house. She stripped the paint carefully, revealing beautiful wood grain. She replaced the rusted hardware with polished brass. When she was done, it was gorgeous, the kind of piece that belonged in a magazine. Jade wandered in around 9. What are you making? Restoring. There's a difference. Is it valuable? Now it is. Lena ran her hand over the smooth wood. Value isn't always obvious, Jade. Sometimes you have to look past the surface. Sometimes you have to trust that what everyone else dismisses is exactly what you need to keep. Like Grandpa's tool chest. Like Grandpa's tool chest. A year after the auction, Lena stood in the community center she'd funded, watching kids from low-income families learn woodworking. The instructor was teaching them to restore furniture, how to see potential in damaged pieces, how to bring out hidden beauty. Her phone buzzed. Marcus, heard about your money. We should talk about Jade's custody arrangement. I think I deserve more time. Lena typed back, talk to my lawyer. Then she blocked his number too. Some bridges weren't worth maintaining. That evening, she picked up Jade from art class, real art class, with proper supplies and a teacher who recognized talent. They drove home through tree-lined streets, past houses with lights in the windows, and Lena felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Mom, Jade said as they pulled into the driveway. Emma at school said her dad said we don't deserve to be rich, that we just got lucky. What do you think? Jade considered this. I think Grandpa worked hard his whole life. And great-grandpa before him. And you worked really hard too. I think we earned it, just not the way people expected. That's exactly right, baby. Lena turned off the car. Now let's go make dinner. Real dinner, with vegetables and everything. Inside their warm, safe, paid-for house, Lena cooked while Jade did homework at the kitchen table. Through the window, she could see the garage where the refinished chest sat, beautiful and valuable because she'd recognized what it could be. Just like Dad had recognized what she could be. Not the daughter who took the flashy inheritance, but the one who understood that value isn't always obvious. The one who kept what mattered. Her phone rang. Richard Carlisle. Miss Porter, I have an interesting call. A museum in Philadelphia found records of your great-grandfather's original contract. They want to do an exhibit on Depression-era gold hoarding. They're offering a substantial fee for you to consult and loan some documentation. How substantial? $200,000 for your time and materials. Lena laughed. A year ago, I would have cried over $200,000. Now it's just another Tuesday. That's wild. Indeed. Should I accept on your behalf? Yeah. And Richard? Put half the fee into the scholarship fund. The kids deserve it. After she hung up, Jade looked up from her homework. More money. Always more money. It's weird. Lena sat down across from her. But you know what's not weird? Having enough. Being safe. Not having to choose between medicine and food. That part feels amazing. I like our new life, Jade said simply. Me too, baby. Me too. That night, after Jade was asleep, Lena sat in her office, a whole room just for her work, and looked at the framed photo of her father. He stood in front of his old apartment, wearing his work jacket, tools in hand, smiling but tired. Always tired. You were right, Dad, she whispered. They told me it was junk. They told me to throw it away. But you knew better. You knew I'd keep it. You knew I'd understand. She pulled out the original note he'd left in the tool chest and read it one more time. Live better than I did. She was trying. Every day, she was trying. The tool chest sat in her living room now, restored and beautiful, holding Jade's art supplies. Every time Lena looked at it, she remembered. Value isn't always obvious. Sometimes the things people dismiss are the things worth keeping. Sometimes being overlooked is the best disguise for something precious. And sometimes, the daughter everyone pitied becomes the woman everyone underestimated. She smiled and turned off the light. Tomorrow she'd meet with the foundation board. Next week, she'd visit the diner cooperative. Next month, she'd start teaching furniture restoration to women re-entering the workforce. But tonight, she'd sleep in a house that was paid for, with a daughter who was safe, knowing that her father's final gift wasn't just gold. It was proof that she'd been right to keep what mattered. That being dismissed didn't mean being worthless. And that sometimes, the junk holds everything that counts.